الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله من بعد. Today is Sunday 24th Rajab 1445 corresponds to February 4, 2024. Today inshallah we will finish the explanation of page 388 and do some of 389 as well. الله سبحانه وتعالى says أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فجاءته إحداهما تمشي على استحياء قالت إن أبي يدعوك ليجزيك أجر ما سقيت لنا فلما جاءه وقص عليه القصص قال لا تخف نجوت من القوم الظالمين قالت إحداهما يا أبت استأجره إن خير من استأجرت القوي الأمين قال إني أريد أن أنكحك إحدى ابنتي هاتين على أن تأجرني 8 حجج فإن أتممت 10 فمن عندك وما أريد أن أشق عليك ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصالحين قال ذلك بيني وبينك أيما الأجلين قضيت فلا عدوان علي والله على ما نقول وكيل. So then there came to Musa alayhi salam one of the 2 girls that he helped water their sheep, walking shyly because it's something that Allah put in people, and shyness is among one of the tenets of faith, of Iman. Haya shu'ba min shu'ab al-Iman. She said, verily, my father calls you so that he may reward you for having watered our flocks for us. So when Musa alayhi salam came to the father and narrated the story that, he grew up in the house of Fir'aun, etc., the father said, do not fear anything. You have escaped from the people who are wrongdoers. They cannot reach you in our city. It's not under their rule. One of the 2 girls told her father, oh, my father, hire him. Verily, the best of men for you to hire is strong, the trustworthy. These are 2 qualities that anyone should look for when hiring a person for a job. He said, I intend to wed one of these 2 daughters of mine to you on condition that you serve me for 8 years. But if you complete 10 years, then it will be a favor from you. But I intend not to place you under difficulty. If Allah wills, you will find me one of the righteous people. Musa alayhi salam said, there is settled between me and you. Whichever the 2 terms I fulfill, 8 or 10 years, then there will be no injustice to me. And Allah is surely a witness over what we say. When the 2 women came back quickly with the sheep, their father was surprised that they returned so soon. So he asked them what had happened. They told him what Musa alayhi salam had done. So he sent one of them to call him to meet her father. Allah says, فَجَاءَتُ إِحْدَاهُمَا تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ. Then there came to him one of them, walking shyly, meaning she was walking like a free woman, as it was narrated from the commander of the faithful, Umar radiallahu anhu. He said she was covering herself from them with the folds of her garment. This is what a free woman, because at the time of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, there were 2 types of women, and men as a matter of fact. There were free women and slave girls. Free women, they were always shy. They covered themselves, all of them. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the free women to cover themselves in the Quran, so that they are known to be free women, not slave girls that would go with men and fornicate. Because a free woman does not fornicate. This is the women of the Jahiliyyah. And today's Muslim women, most of them are like the slave girls. Most Muslim women today have the personality of slave girls. They uncover themselves, they commit zina. So this woman was covering herself from them with the folds of her garment. And obviously, the reason why most Muslim women today started having the slave girl mentality is because of the brainwashing that's happening in the Muslim land through education, through TV, through WhatsApp, through Instagram, all means of brainwashing the Muslims have been allowed into the Muslim land. Now, just to give an example, China, who's not a Muslim land, is banning Google and Facebook from China. Why? Because they said clearly, if we allow the Americans to invade us mentally and culturally, then military invasion is just a step away. In other words, it's easy for them to invade us militarily if we allow them to invade us culturally. And this is what Muslims really should do as well. I mean, Allah tells you the kuffar are your enemies. Why are you letting them invade you in your own homes? I mean, look at Muslim homes today. I mean, if I say 99.9% of the homes, I may not be exaggerating, are ones that are allowing the kuffar to invade them inside their homes, change their cultures, change their beliefs, and to make them think like the kuffar. So a Muslim man is responsible for his family members. Do not bring tools of brainwashing into your home. This is what Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah said when the dish first came out. When the satellite dish first came out, they asked him, is it halal or haram for a father to bring a satellite dish into his home? He said, of course it's haram, because this man will be responsible in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's bringing tools of brainwashing his family, bringing evil, bringing shaitan all the way inside his bedroom. So Allah will punish him. So when we talk about satellite dish, what's around today is much worse than satellite dish. So a father should not bring Wi-Fi into his house. Now the kuffar tell Wi-Fi is a necessity. Well, if it's a necessity, then are you watching what your children are watching? I mean, in the Muslim land today, there is this evil trend that young kids go to look at pornographic movies. So you may be teaching them how to obey Allah on the one hand, and on the other hand, you're opening the door for shaitan to come and destroy everything that you are building. So a man should monitor. Don't think that it's a done right for your children to have Wi-Fi. No, it's not their right. It's their right to obey you as a father, and it's your right as a father to protect them from the hellfire, to protect them from shaitan. So this is a warning for me and all the brothers and sisters. You should watch what your children are watching, who they're communicating with. So this free woman, she was covering herself from them with the folds of her garment. Ibn Abi Hatim recorded that Amr bin Maymun said, Umar radiallahu anhu said, she came walking shyly. And you know why she was walking shyly? As opposed to the Muslim women today that go and stare at the man in his face and talk to him like, she's a man herself. It's because since childhood, they send them to kindergarten, and the mixing starts from kindergarten all the way until whatever. So for them, being a man and woman, it's no different. So this is the reason why shyness is taken away from our women today, because we send them to these mixed environments for education, for everything else, and we think that we are doing something good. And then if you try to do the right thing and stop your girl from mixing in school, your family members are the first ones to point at you and tell you that you are doing injustice to the girl, you are this, you are that. You tell them, you will sleep in your grave alone. I will sleep in my grave alone. I do what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't like it, you choose another religion. This is the true religion of ours, and this is for the benefit of my children. So here she came walking shyly, because this is normal, especially for a virgin girl, as the Prophet ﷺ said. The Prophet ﷺ was more shy than a virgin girl in her corner. Why? Because usually a virgin girl is shy. This is what Allah put in her. And look at our virgin Muslim girls today. If you look at them in schools, are they shy? Many of them I encountered, being with a boy somewhere in a dark corner. When I try to talk to them, I have a problem with the girl more than a man. This girl who's 13, 14, she looks at me and is like, well, everyone is judged according to his deeds. It's none of your business. So is this a shy girl? No, of course. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring back the Muslims to the correct path, the parents before the children, because the parents who are destroying their own children by putting them into the path of shaitan that the kuffar have plotted for them through the different means of of living in society and the culture, education, etc. So girls and boys can attain their education without disobeying Allah, without mixing. So she came walking shyly, putting her garment over her face. She was not one of those audacious women who come and go as they please. Kharrajan wallaja, as Prophet called them, women that goes in and out of her house as she wishes and any time she wishes. This chain of narrative is sahih. قالت إن أبي يدعوك ليجزيك أجر ما سقيت لنا. She said, verily my father calls you so that he may reward you for having watered our flocks for us. This is an example of good manners. She did not invite him directly, lest he have some suspicious thoughts about her. Rather, she said, my father is inviting you so that he may reward you for watering our sheep. That means to give you some payment for that. فلما جاءه وقص عليه القصص قال لا تخف نجوت من القوم الظالمين. So when he came to him and narrated the story, it means he told him about his story and why he had to leave his country. He said, fear not, you have escaped from the people who are wrongdoers. He was saying, calm down and relax, for you have left their kingdom and they have no authority in our land. So he said, نجوت من القوم الظالمين, you have escaped from the people who are wrongdoers. قالت إحداهما يا أبت استأجره إن خير من استأجرت القوي الأمين. And one of them said, O my father, hire him. Verily the best of men for you to hire is the strong, the trustworthy. One of the two daughters of the man said this, and it was said that she was the one who had walked behind Musa, peace be upon him. She said to her father, Ya abati ista'jir, O my father, hire him as a shepherd to look after the sheep. Umar ibn Abbas, Shuraih al-Qadi, Abu Malik, Qatada, Muhammad bin Ishaq, and others said that when she said, Inna khayra man ista'jarta al-qawiyyu al-amin, verily the best of men for you to hire is the strong, trustworthy, her father said to her, what do you know about that? In other words, how did you come to the conclusion that he was trustworthy and strong? So she said to him, he lifted a rock which could only be lifted by 10 men. And when I came back with him, I walked ahead of him, but he said to me, walk behind me, because the wind kind of lifted the bottom of her skirt, so he saw her legs, so he told her to walk behind him. And if I get confused about the route, then throw a pebble so that we know which way to go. In other words, walk in front of her. If she wants him to turn right, she would throw a pebble to the right. If she wants him to turn left, she would throw a pebble to the left. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, and of course, when she came to him alone, he didn't try to commit the evil act with her, so of course he was trustworthy. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, the people who had the most discernment were three. In other words, people that had the correct intuition were three. Abu Bakr's intuition about Umar radiallahu anh, the companion of Yusuf when he said, make his stay comfortable, because he somehow knew that Yusuf alayhi salam would be someone great. And the companion of Musa when she said, Ya abati ista'jirna khayran musta'jir al-qawiyyu al-amin. In other words, these three people had a correct intuition about them, because of course we know what Umar radiallahu anh, how he became after he became a Muslim, etc. Next, the man told Musa alayhi salam, قال إني أريد أن أنكحك إحدى ابنتي هاتين. He said, I intend to wed one of these two daughters of mine to you. Means this old man asked him to take care of his flocks, then he would marry one of his two daughters to him. For in the Judaic law, a man is allowed to get married to two sisters at the same time. In Islam, you're not allowed to get married to two sisters in the same time, but if you divorce one, you can get married to the other, or if the first one dies, you can get married to the other. But in the Judaic law, you can get married to two daughters at the same time. But here, Musa alayhi salam only got married to one. I just said that as a side note. فَإِنْ أَتْمَمْتَ عَشْرًا فَمِنْ عِنْدِكَ, on condition that you serve me for 8 years. So this would be the mahr, the dowry is to serve me for 8 years. But if you complete 10 years, it will be a favor from you. Meaning on the condition that you tend my flocks for 8 years, and if you want to give me 2 extra years, that is up to you. But if you do not want to, then 8 years is enough. وما أريد أن أشق عليك ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصالحين. I intend not to place you under difficulty. If Allah wills, you will find me one of the righteous. Means I do not want to put pressure on you or cause you any inconvenience or argue with you. Ibn Abi Hatim recorded that Ali ibn Rabah al-Lakhmi said, I heard Utbah bin al-Nadr al-Sulami, the companion of the Messenger ﷺ, narrating that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, Inna Musa alayhi salam ajara nafsahu bi'iffati farjihi wa ta'mati batari. Musa, peace be upon him, hired himself out for the purpose of keeping chaste and to feed himself. Now Allah tells us about Musa alayhi salam. He answered the old man, قال ذلك بيني وبينك أيما الأجلين قضيت فلا عدوان علي والله على ما نقول وكيل. He said, that is settled between me and you. Whichever the two terms are fulfilled, 8 or 10 years, there will be no injustice to me, and Allah is surety over what we say. Musa said to his father-in-law, the matter is as you say. You have hired me for 8 years, and if I complete 10 years, then that is my choice. But if you do the lesser amount, 8 years, I would still have fulfilled the covenant and met the conditions. So he said, أَيَّمَا الْأَجَلَيْنِ قَضَيْتُ فَلَا عُدْوَانَ عَلَيْهِ. Whichever the two terms are fulfilled, there will be no injustice to me, meaning that there will be no blame on me. The complete term is permissible, but it is still regarded as something extra. This is like the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Sourat Al Baqarah about people staying in Mina after Yawm Nahr. فَمَا تَعَجَّلَ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. But whomsoever hastens to leave in 2 days after the day of slaughter in Eid al-Adha in Mina, there is no sin on him. And whosoever stays on until he completes 3 days, and there is no sin on him. And the Messenger of Allah said to Hamza ibn Amr al-Aslami, may Allah be pleased with him, who used to fast a great deal, and who asked him about fasting while traveling. In other words, can I fast while traveling? He said, if you wish, then fast, and if you wish, do not fast, even though it is better to fast, according to the evidence of other reports. And there is evidence which indicates that Musa alayhi salam fulfilled the longer of the two terms. Al-Bukhari recorded that Sa'id bin Jubayr said, a Jew from the people of Hira asked me, which of the two terms did Musa fulfill? I said, I do not know until I go to the scholar of the Arabs and ask him. So I went to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma and asked him. He said he fulfilled the longer and better of them, for when the Messenger of Allah said he would do a thing, he did it. This is how it was recorded by Bukhari. So Musa alayhi salam finished 10 years. فلما قضى موسى الأجل وسار بأهله آنس من جانب الطور نارا قال لأهلهم كثوا إني آنست نارا لعلي آتيكم منها بخبر أو جذوة من النار لعلكم تصطلون فلما أتاها نودي من شاطئ الوادي الأيمن في البقعة المباركة من الشجرة أي يا موسى إني أنا الله رب العالمين وأن ألق عصاك فلما رآها تهتز كأنها جان ولا مدبرا ولم يعقب يا موسى أقبل ولا تخف إنك من الآمنين اسلك يدك في جيبك تخرج بيضاء من غير سوء واضمم إليك جناحك من الرهب فذلك برهانان من ربك إلى فرعون وملئه إنهم كانوا قوما فاسقين. So when Musa had fulfilled the term, as we said, 10 years, and was traveling with his family, he saw fire in the direction of Mount At-Tur. He said to his family, wait, I have seen a fire, perhaps I may bring to you from there some information, or a burning firebrand that you may warm yourselves. So when he reached it, he was called from the right side of the valley in the blessed place from the tree, O Musa, verily I am Allah, the Lord of all that exists, and throw your stick. But when he saw it moving as if it were a snake, he turned in flight and looked not back. It was said, O Musa, draw near and fear not. Verily you are of those who are secure. Put your hand into the opening of your garment. It will come forth white without a disease. And draw your hand close to your side to be free from the fear. These are two proofs from your Lord to Fir'aun and his chiefs. Verily, they are the people who are rebellious. Moses returned to Egypt and how he was honored with the mission of prophethood. In the explanation of the previous ayah, we have already the longer of the and better of the two terms, which may also be understood from the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَمَّا قَضَى مُوسَى الْأَجَلَ. Then when Musa had fulfilled the term, meaning the longer of the two, and Allah knows best, وَسَارَ بِأَهْلِهِ, and was traveling with his family, they said Musa alayhi salam missed his country and his relatives. So he resolved to visit them in secret without Fir'aun and his people knowing, because of course he was wanted for the killing of the Coptic man. So Musa alayhi salam gathered up his family and the flocks which his father-in-law had given to him and set out on a cold, dark, rainy night. They stopped to camp, and whenever he tried to start a fire, he did not succeed. So he was surprised by this, and while he was in this state, he saw a fire in the direction of Mountain Otur. This is a mountain in the desert of Sinai in today's Egypt. He saw a fire burning from afar. He saw a fire burning from afar. قال لأهلهم كثوا إني آنست نارا. He said to his family, wait, I have seen a fire. Meaning, wait while I go there. لعلي آتيكم منها بخبر. Perhaps I may bring to you from there some information. This is because they lost their way. أو جذوة من النار لعلكم تصطلون. Or burning firebrand, so that you may warm yourselves, so that they could get warm and find relief from the cold. فلما أتاها نودي من شاطئ الوادي الأيمن. So when he reached the fire, he was called from the right side of the valley, from the side of the valley that adjoined the mountain, on his right, to the west. So when he reached the fire, he was called from the right side of the valley. Right side of the valley that adjoined the mountain, on his right, to the west. This is like the ayah where Allah says, وَمَا كُنْتَ بِجَانِبِ الْغَرْبِ إِذْ قَضَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى الْأَمْرَ. وَمَا كُنْتَ بِجَانِبِ الْغَرْبِ إِذْ قَضَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى الْأَمْرَ. And you were not on the western side we made clear to Musa the commandment. I'm hesitating because it says from the side of the valley that adjoined the mountain, on his right to the west, actually to the east. And you were not on the western side when we made clear to Musa, because Musa alayhi salam was to the west and the tree was on the right side, to the east, not the west. So this here is a typo. Because Musa alayhi salam is the one that was on the western side. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Muhammad alayhi salam, you were not on the western side with Musa alayhi salam when we made clear to Musa the commandment. So Musa alayhi salam was on the western side, and Allah spoke to Musa alayhi salam from the right side, which is the eastern side. This indicates that when Musa headed for the fire, he headed in the direction of the Qibla, which is to the east, with the western mountain on his right. Because the Qibla was Jerusalem at the time. He found the fire burning in a green bush on the side of the mountain adjoining the valley. He found the fire burning in a green bush. This was what's amazing, because usually a bush, when it's green, it wouldn't it wouldn't burn, and if it's burning, it wouldn't remain green. But he found the fire burning in a green bush on the side of the mountain adjoining the valley, and he stood there amazed at what he was seeing. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called Musa alayhi salam من شاطئ الوادي الأيمن في البقعة المباركة من الشجرة. So Allah called Musa alayhi salam from the right side of the valley in the blessed place from the tree. أي موسى إني أنا الله رب العالمين. O Musa, verily I am Allah, the Lord for that exists. Meaning the one who is addressing you and speaking to you, O Musa, is the Lord for that exists, the one who does what he wills, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one apart from whom there is no other God, O Lord, may he be exalted and sanctified, the one who by his very nature, attributes, words, and deeds is far above any resemblance to his creation, may he be glorified. وَأَنْ أَلْقِ عَصَاكَ, and throw your stick, the stick that is in your hand, as was stated in the ayah. And throw your stick, the stick that is in your hand, as was stated in the ayah. As Allah subhanahu in the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا تِلْكَ بِيَمِينِكَ يَا مُوسَى قَالَ هِيَ عَصَايَ أَتَوَكَّأُ عَلَيْهَا وَأَهُشُّ بِهَا عَلَى غَنَمِي وَلِيَ فِيهَا مَآرِبُ أُخْرَى. And what is in your right hand? Musa, this is Surah Taha. Musa alayhi salam answered, this is my stick whereon I lean on, and where I beat down branches for my sheep to eat, and wherein I found other uses, because all prophets cared for sheep, were shepherds. All prophets were shepherds so that they could learn kindness and how to deal with humans when they lead them, because sheep have a unique way of being taken care of. The meaning is the stick which you know so well. So this is my stick whereon I lean on, wherewith I beat down my branch for my sheep, and wherein I find other uses. قال ألقيها يا موسى فألقاها فإذا هي حية تسعى. Cast it down on Musa. He cast it down, and behold, there was a snake moving quickly. Musa knew that the one who was speaking to him was the one who merely says to a thing, be, and it is. And we have already stated in the explanation of Surah Taha, as we have already stated in the Surah Taha. So Musa alayhi salam knew that it was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who was speaking to him. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَمَّا رَأَى تَهْتَزُّ كَأَنَّهَا جَانٌّ وَلَّى مُدْبِرًا وَلَمْ يُعَقِّبْ يَا مُوسَى أَقْبِلْ وَلَا تَخَفْ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْآمِنِينَ. But when he saw it moving, as if it were a snake, he turned and fled. He ran away. So, because the staff turned into a huge snake that was moving so quickly, even though it was so big and its mouth was so huge, with its jaws snapping, it swallowed every rock it passed, and every rock that fell into its mouth fell with a sound like a rock falling into a valley. When he saw that, he turned in flight and did not look back. He did not turn around, because it is human nature to flee from such a scene. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to him, Ya Musa, aqbil wa la takhaf innaka min al-aminin. O Musa, draw near and do not fear anything. Verily you are of those who are secure. He came back to his original position. So Musa alayhi salam came back. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Usluk yadaka fi jaybika takhruj bayda'a min ghayri su'. Put your hand into the opening of your garment, it will come forth white without a disease. Meaning when you put your hand in your garment and then draw it out, it will be shining white as if it were a piece of the moon or a flash of lightning, a light bulb as we know it today. Allah said, min ghayri su, without a disease. That means it will have no trace of leukoderma, baras. In other words, it's not shining because it has a disease, it's shining as a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاضْمُمْ إِلَيْكَ جَنَاحَكَ مِنَ الرَّهْبِ, and draw your hand close to your side to be free from the fear. Mujahid said to be free from terror. Qatada said to be free from fear. So put your hand close to your side. So as if you put your hands under your armpits. If you put both hands under your armpits, you will feel at ease and your heart will not be trembling. So Qatada said to be free from fear. Musa was commanded when he felt afraid of anything to draw his hands close to his side to be free from the fear. If he did that, whatever fear he felt would be gone. Now, perhaps and actually this is something that is tried. If you do that, actually you do feel at ease and you don't feel afraid. Here Ibn Kathir says, perhaps if a person does this, following the example of Musa alayhi salam, and puts his hand over his heart, his fear will disappear or be lessened, if Allah wills. Because what happens is when you're afraid, your heart beats quickly. So when you put some pressure on it, you lower the flow of the blood, so the fear is lessened. So this is kind of like a physical explanation of what happens, and it's something that a person should do in case he is in a state of fear sometimes. So as we explained, put your hands under your armpits and you will feel at ease, inshallah. There's some problem with this acrobat. There are two proofs from your Lord. This refers to the throwing down of the stick that turns into a snake, whereupon it turned into a moving snake, and he's putting his hand into his garment and bringing it forth white without a disease. These were two clear and definitive proofs of the power of the one who does as he chooses, and of the truth of prophethood, and of the one at whose hands these miracles occurred. Allah said, إِلَى فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَلَئِهِ إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا قَوْمًا فَاسِقِينَ, to Fir'aun and his chiefs, meaning his leaders and prominent followers. Verily they are the people who are rebellious, means who are disobedient towards Allah and who go against his commandments and his religion. قال رب إني قتلت منهم نفسا فأخاف أن يقتلون وأخي هارون هو أفصح مني لسانا فأرسله معي يرد أن يصدقني إني أخاف أن يكذبون قال سنشد عضدك بأخيك ونجعل لكما سلطانا فلا يصلون إليكما بآياتنا أنتما ومن اتبعكما الغالبون. So he said, my Lord, I have killed a man among the Copts, and I fear that they will kill me in retaliation. And my brother Harun, he is more eloquent in speech than me, so send him with me as a helper to confirm my prophethood. Verily, I fear that they will deny me. Allah said, we will strengthen your arm through your brother and give you both powers, so they shall not be able to harm you. With our ayat, you too, as well as those who follow you, will be the victors. Musa alayhi salam asked for the support of his brother and was granted that by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah commanded Musa alayhi salam to go to Fir'aun, the one who Musa alayhi salam had run away from, and whose vengeance Musa alayhi salam feared, Musa alayhi salam said, "Oh my Lord, I have killed a man among them," meaning that Coptic man, "and I fear they will kill me." So I'm afraid that they will kill me when they see me. وأخي هارون هو أفصح مني لسانا. My brother Harun, he's more eloquent in speech than me. As we said, Musa alayhi salam had a speech defect because when we had been given the choice between a date and a pearl, he mistakenly picked up a coal and placed it on his tongue. So he found it difficult to speak clearly. We said that this was a test that Fir'aun put him through when he was a baby to test Musa alayhi salam if Musa was a prophet or a normal baby. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala duped Fir'aun into thinking that Musa alayhi salam was a normal baby, and Musa alayhi salam picked up the coal and placed it on his tongue, and as a result he had a speech defect. But of course when he was preaching to Fir'aun, his speech was normal. And that's the meaning of this dua. وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي وَاجْعَلْ لِي وَزِيرًا مِّنْ أَهْلِي هَارُونَ أَخِي أشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري. And lose the defect from my tongue when I preach, so that they understand my speech, and appoint for me a helper from among my family, Harun my brother. Increase my strength with him and let him share my task. Meaning, give me someone to keep me company in this immense task of prophethood and conveying the message to this arrogant, tyrannical, and stubborn king. Hence Musa alayhi salam said, وَأَخِي هَارُونُ أَفْصَحُ مِنِّي لِسَانًا فَأَرْسِلْهُ مَعِيَ رِدْ أَن يُصَدِّقُنِي. My brother Harun is more eloquent in speech than me, so send him with me as a helper to confirm my message, meaning as a support to give the strength to my cause and confirm what I say and convey from Allah, because the word of two carries more weight in people's minds than the word of one. فَأَرْسِلْهُ مَعِيَ رِدْ أَن يُصَدِّقُنِي. Send him with me as a helper to confirm me. So he said, إِنِّي أَخَافُ أَن يُكَذِّبُونَ. Verily I fear that they will deny me. Muhammad bin Ishaq said, رِدْ أَن يُصَدِّقُني, as a helper to confirm me, meaning to explain to them what I say, because he can understand me where they may not understand me. When Musa alayhi salam asked for this, Allah said to him, Allah said to him, قَالَ سَنَشُدُّ عَضُدَكَ بِأَخِيكَ. We will strengthen your arm through your brother, meaning we will add strength to your cause and give you help through your brother, who you have asked to be made a prophet alongside you. This is like the ayah where Allah subhanahu told Musa alayhi salam, قَدْ أُوتِيتَ سُؤْلَكَ يَا مُوسَى. You are granted your request, O Musa. Also Allah subhanahu said in Sourat Al وَهَبْنَا لَهُ مِنْ رَحْمَتِنَا أَخَاهُ هَارُونَ نَبِيًّا. And we granted him his brother Harun also a prophet out of our mercy. One of the Salaf said, there is no one who has ever done a greater favor to his brother than Musa alayhi salam did for Harun. May Allah's peace be upon them both, because Musa alayhi salam interceded for Harun until Allah made him a prophet and messenger with him to Fir'aun and his chiefs. And something to note here, that subhanallah, as a human being, if you are in front of a worldly king and he tells you go to such and such place, normally you would say okay, you would not argue with him. But Musa alayhi salam was strong-minded to the point that Allah told him go to be a messenger, go to Fir'aun. Musa alayhi salam told him, in other words, he thought correctly that, look, I have a speech defect. I know these people, they are rebellious people. They have something against me. They may kill me. Harun alayhi salam speaks better than me, and two people is better than one. So Musa alayhi salam, subhanallah, he was strong-minded to the point that, as we know, in the night of Isra and Mi'raj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he gave the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam the salat, he told him that Muslims are going to pray 50 salat a day. And when Muhammad ﷺ came down and he met Musa alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam asked him, and then Musa alayhi salam told Muhammad ﷺ, go back to your Lord and intercede with him for less than 50, because my people, the Jews, were ordered to pray only 3 times a day and they weren't able to do it. So Musa alayhi salam was unique in that sense, subhanallah. And he was strong, because the Jews would not obey him if he was not strong, because the Jews only understand the language of strength. You want to convince a Jew to do something, you have to be more powerful than him and tell him, you do or you die. Because this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did with them. He told them, accept the Torah that was given to Musa alayhi salam, or the mountain is going to fall on you and kill you. إِذَا نَتَقْنَا الْجَبَلَ فَوْقَهُمْ كَأَنَّهُ ظُلَّةٌ. And we have lifted the mountain above the Jews, and this mountain became like a cloud above their heads. Accept what we give Musa, or the mountain is going to crush you. And that's the only time when they accepted something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So their Lord, and they didn't accept something from him, and unless they were under the threat of death. So how can you imagine that a Jew will give you a weak human being, that he believes that you are an animal that is created in the form of a human being for his own sake? Because the Jews believe that the Jews are the only human beings, and the rest of mankind, Muslims, Christians, Hindus, anybody, are animals. But Allah created these animals in the form of human beings, so that when these animals serve the Jews, the Jew will not feel averse to an animal serving him. So he's going to look at this animal serving him, but this animal is in the shape of a human being, so the Jew will feel okay. This is their belief. So how do you think that a Jew is going to give you an inch of land when he knows that you are, when he believes, when he feels that you are an animal? Of course not. So the only way to get back what was taken by the Jews is force, is force, is force. So what was taken by force will only be brought back by force. And of course, there's always a price to pay for glory and for truth. In Algeria, the French killed 2 million Algerians, but then at the end they were kicked out. So if you look today at Palestine, people will say, oh, well, because of Hamas, 27,000 people died. Well, the question is, if Hamas did not attack the Jews on October 7th, these 2 million people would have been killed, all of them, not only 27,000. At least the Jews now are finding a strength that is opposing them. Otherwise, they would have done whatever they did to the other Arab countries surrounding them. They would subdue them, and they would cause them to submit to their will. So therefore, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give victory to our brothers, the Mujahideen in Palestine, and to destroy the state of the Jews and every single hypocrite and disbeliever that is helping them. Back to the explanation, one of the Salaf said, there is no one who has ever done a greater favor to his brother than Musa alayhi salam did for Harun. May Allah, peace be upon them both. For he interceded for him until Allah made him a prophet and messenger with him to Fir'aun his chiefs. Allah said concerning Musa, وَكَانَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَجِيهًا, and he was honored before Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored him. He spoke to him. He was the only messenger that Allah spoke to in this world. And Allah basically granted Musa alayhi salam's request. And he was an honorable messenger before Allah. May Allah's peace and blessing be upon him and our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. وَنَجْعَلُ لَكُمَا سُلْطَانًا فَلَا يَصِلُونَ إِلَيْكُمَا بِآيَاتِنَا أَنْتُمَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَكُمَا الْغَالِبُونَ. I will give you both power, meaning overwhelming evidence, so they shall not be able to harm you. With our ayat, meaning they will have no way or means of harming you, because you are conveying the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is like the ayah, يا أيها الرسول بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك وإن لم تفعل فما بلغت رسالته والله يعصمك من الناس. O messenger, convey what has been sent down to you from your Lord. And if you do not, then you have not conveyed his message. Allah will protect you from mankind. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, الَّذِينَ يُبَلِّغُونَ رِسَالَاتِ اللَّهِ وَيَخْشَوْنَهُ وَلَا يَخْشَوْنَ أَحَدًا إِلَّا اللَّهِ وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا. Those who convey the message of Allah and fear Him, and fear none except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sufficient is Allah as a reckoner. As sufficient is Allah as a helper and supporter. And Allah told them the consequences in this world and the next for them and for those who followed them. You too, as well as those who follow you, will be the victors. This is like the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَأَغْلِبَنَّ أَنَا وَرَسُولِي إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَوِيٌّ عَزِيزٌ. Allah has decreed, verily, it is I and my messengers who shall be victorious. Surely Allah is all-powerful, almighty. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّا لَنَنصُرُ رُسُلَنَا وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَيَوْمَ يَقُومُ الْأَشْهَادُ. Verily will indeed make victorious our messengers and those who believe in this world's life, and on the day when the witnesses will stand forth. So therefore we tell brothers, the Mujahideen in Palestine, fear not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you. Allah promised you victory. Do not care about the hypocrites who have turned their backs on you, who are giving fatwa against you. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them mute and to show them to the people as being betrayers of this religion of Islam. Verily will indeed make victorious our messengers and those who believe in this world's life, and on the day when the witnesses will stand forth. So this is it for today. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach us the beneficial knowledge. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save us from all trials and tribulations. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the best day of our existence the day that we meet Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give victory to our brothers, the Mujahideen in Palestine. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide back the Muslims to the true path, especially the women and the youth among them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give victory to our brothers in Palestine. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give victory to brothers the Mujahideen and to destroy the state of the Jews and every single hypocrite and disbeliever that is helping them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to purify the land of Palestine from the filth of the Jews and to bring back the Khilafah to it as He subhanahu wa ta'ala promised through the tongue of Muhammad alayhi salam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala finally to guide us with Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam in the highest palace of Firdaus. آخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا brothers.